You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 5th part of What If Naruto Enters Undertale? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto hummed in thought before writing once more. Speaking of progress, I'd like to write about the monsters that contributed greatly to the progress of getting along. Ms. Muffet currently runs a bakery which was put up and given recommendation by my mom. She became a major hit with the humans, making great confectionaries and baked goods which made customers keep coming back for more. But a little warning to my mom about her tendency to price her goods a bit too high prevented a potential disaster. Embarrassing enough, Ms. Muffet tends to tease me by doodling on my purchased baked goods with icing, like drawing my face on them or writing, "My sweetie," every time. My mom finds this cute, but I always notice how Frisk and Red frown whenever this happens. Grillby's had also set up his place and is one of the major gathering spots for the monsters. He's coming along just fine with the number of human customers increasing day by day for him. Metaton, he's now living his lifelong dream about becoming an idol. He hosted several shows which were small time but gaining popularity. He proudly announced to us a few weeks ago that he had received several contracts from Hollywood and is already negotiating with the directors. He brought along Shiren as his singer and Napstablook to work as his DJ. They're pretty much suited for this kind of thing since I recall their love for music. Also, Toriel Basin had finally established her very own school for both humans and monsters as both the headmistress and teacher of it. Other monsters joined the teaching staff like Jerson, who lectures in history, Alphys takes on general science, and Undyne is in charge of gym. Certain monsters got to live their lifelong dream too. Papyrus finally got to drive a fancy red convertible car on the highway, although it aggravates him to no end that Sans tricycle for some strange reason always zips by him every time. Alphys became a true blue otaku and is well known in many circles, often traveling to Japan to attend the comiquettes along with Undyne, not to mention that they're living together too. Enough said. From what I've heard, the Tenmais have opened up a pawn shop which is getting rather popular as they're saving up money to go to college still. I don't really know their source of motivation. Even Onion-san is living contently in the ocean and is a self-assigned lifeguard, which later became official due to his increasing number of rescues and general friendliness. Well, not everything is going merrily like I had hoped. Things are still awkward between Toriel and Ascari. They're currently living in separate houses, with Frisk and Asriel living with Toriel, and Ascari lived alone, but we frequently visit him, which I can tell makes him very happy. Just wish there was a way we could help get them back together. I could understand why she was so upset with him, but even the 6 souls forgave him, for he himself really didn't want to do it. I almost forgot to mention that Red lives with the Dogi couple in the suburbs. They just love to nuzzle me and others with affection, and recently, I've been noticing that Red tries to bring her face very close to mine but would shy away at the last moment. Could she be picking up on their habits? I don't really know how to react to that, Naruto mumbled before continuing to write. Asriel is doing okay so far, still feels guilty for the things he had done in the past, but is coming around bit by bit thanks to everyone. He's kinda like the younger brother I've never had. Even mom gets fussy whenever he's in her care. Nikken's also living with us. The little guy is hardly far from me unless I'm off to school. Never thought I'd be going there again. Guess I finally had a reason to do so. Alphys is still trying to make sense of Asriel's newly formed soul, as it's without a doubt far stronger than a monster or humans. We all agreed to name the soul Miracle due to how Asriel was brought back and what the 6 souls did to make it possible. Gotta admit, it really suits it. I still have the belongings of the souls and I'm keeping them safe. A weird thing to bring up is that book that Nikken and I found in the ruins back in the underground. When I first found it, the book was wrapped in chains, but now the chains are gone. Inside it contains information about magic stuff which I could do with my power, and also spoke of the types of the souls and the abilities/traits each possesses. It's a pretty interesting read, plus the book would shrink into the size of a small handbook, then wrapped around my forearm with a chain so as to remain with me. I told Alphys about this, and all she could find out was that the book is somehow sentient but doesn't know anything else for now, since she's still researching on Asriel's soul at the moment. Naruto raised his forearm to find said book tied to his arm with a chain before going back to writing. To think that I woke up that day, expecting it to be the usual, only to get a complete opposite of that. But to be absolutely truthful. Naruto, it's time for school. Kushina called out from the kitchen below. Frisk and Asriel are outside waiting for you. Don't keep them waiting. Coming, Mom. Naruto responded. He wrote a bit more before quickly picking up his bag and running down the stairs to pick up his bento. I'm heading out. Okay, be safe. I will. He stepped out to find Frisk and Asriel waiting for him with bicycles of their own propped up next to them. Frisk smiled happily upon seeing him. Good morning, Naruto. Morning to the both of you. Hang on while I get my bike from the garage, said Naruto as he approached the garage. What were you up to? Asked Asriel curiously. Nothing much, just need to make plans for maintaining my Bakken. It had gone through a lot back in the underground, said Naruto, wheeling out his bike and getting on it. Frisk hummed and thought, oh, it really helped us a lot back then. Yeah, now let's get to school quickly or we might end up late and Torielo-Basin would get upset. You're right, let's hurry, said Asriel in agreement, not wanting to upset his mother. The three children rode their bikes in direction of the school which Naruto now attends, but we turn our attention to Naruto's diary with the last words written on it. I am very happy that things turned out this way for me. It feels like the world has become a whole lot brighter for me compared to before when it felt dark and dreary. Suddenly a human-shaped shadow loomed over the open diary and a female voice could be heard giggling with both interest and amusement before speaking. This boy was able to achieve an ending with just a single reload of his save file and not a single reset. I must admit that I am impressed. She reached out and closed the book whilst humming in thought. But I do wonder if he would attain a similar outcome should the scenario be of a different outcome. The door suddenly opened with Kushina peering inside Naruto's room and looked around only to find no one inside, much to her confusion. That's strange, I could have sworn I had heard someone in here. Must be my imagination. Kushina closed the door and left to prepare for the departure to her restaurant. This time, was out of range to hear a childish giggle. It's a normal day as usual for Ibat City, well as usual as it can get since monsters are living with them now, but good nonetheless. At the moment, Naruto as well as Frisk and Asriel were currently riding on their bicycles to school in the morning whilst greeting passerbys along the way. Come on guys, we need to hurry a bit or we'll end up being late, Naruto called out, leading the group in front. We know, Naruto. We're pedaling as fast as we can, said Asriel, trying to keep up. And we're almost there too, Frisk added. As Frisk said, the trio had finally arrived at the school gates where the front yard was decorated with stylized hedges done by Askari himself. One of them even looked like Papyrus in a rather funny pose. Naruto had seen many take pictures of it and post online. Waiting at the gates was Red, dressed more casually compared to her royal guard uniform. She's currently wearing a black tank top with white accents, a red pleated skirt around the waist, black thigh-high stockings, red and black sneakers, and she wears a red cloak with the hood down. Red perked up upon seeing the trio and waved them over to her. They stopped next to her and got off their bikes. You three were cutting it close today, said Red with a small frown. Sorry around that, there are a few delays along the way, Frisk explained as they moved their bikes towards the bike rack in front of the school and locking them in place before walking into the building towards their classroom. Yeah, plus Mom had forgotten a few things back home. So we had to take them to the restaurant first before coming to school, Naruto explained. Red nodded in understanding. I see, that would explain why you three were late. The group of four arrived at their classroom and went inside to find that some of their classmates, both humans and monsters, were already inside, with three of them calling out to the group. Hey guys, said Monster Kid happily. Good morning, glad to see that you made it, said a female reindeer-like monster with short brown fur, a red nose, freckled cheeks, and prominent front teeth, and has long golden blonde hair. She wears a red and green checkered sweater with dark gray sleeves and a dark gray skirt. Good morning, Noelle. We had to do something before coming here, said Frisk in response. It wouldn't surprise me that you end up late, I wasn't expecting any form of perfection from any of you, a male monster scoffed at Naruto and the others. The third monster is more of an anthropomorphic avian with blue feathers, a yellow beak, and yellow legs. He wears black framed glasses, a collared white button-up shirt with striped sleeves, and a black shirt layered underneath. Red spoke sternly at the monster, I do not appreciate that kind of tone in your voice. Yeah, knock it off Birdly, it's always the same thing with you, said Monster Kid with a frown. Like either of your opinions matter to someone as intelligent as me, said Birdly haughtily. Guys, calm down. Let's just settle down and get ready before the teacher comes in, said Asriel, trying to calm everyone down before things end up going out of control. As he's right, let's all take a chill pill, said Naruto in agreement. Okay Naruto, said Red albeit reluctantly. Everyone went to take their seats at their assigned places right as the door opened and Alphys came inside, greeting the students once reaching the teacher's table. Good morning, class, said Alphys nervously, she had become much more confident in herself but has her moments of nervousness. Good morning, Miss Alphys, the class greeted. Now then, let us begin with the first lesson. Please bring out your notebooks and get ready T-. Alphys was interrupted when the doors suddenly opened and someone stood at the doorway with everyone looking to see who it is. A tall purple female reptilian monster with freckles at the sides of her face, she has messy aubergine hair which covers her eyes from view while wearing a long purple jacket, a white shirt with blue trim, a pair of torn jeans and a pair of black shoes. Oh Susie G, good to see that you're here, said Alphys. Susie was silent for a moment before speaking, am I late? Not really, we were just about to start. Now take your seat while I write down the notes for you to jot down. Alphys reached for something on the table but soon noticed that what she was looking for wasn't there. Has anyone seen the chalk? No we haven't Miss Alphys, said Noelle politely. Really? This is the third time that a chalk has gone missing, who keeps taking it, said Alphys with a small frown. Well, I'm sure that there's an extra box of chalk in the supply closet, said Asriel thoughtfully. I remember now. Alphys turned to Susie, since you're the last to arrive, could you go and fetch the box of chalk so we can begin the lesson? Whatever, Susie left the classroom whilst slamming the door on her way out. Naruto, why don't you escort Susie to the supply closet and make sure that she gets it and stays out of trouble? Red rose from her seat in protest, Miss Alphys, why don't I go instead? It's okay, Red-chan. I'll be fine, we're just going to pick up a box of chalk. Naruto rose from his seat and made his way out of the classroom before Red could protest any more. Naruto was in the hallway and saw Susie ahead of him. He noticed that she tossed something into her mouth and was chewing on it but he couldn't see what it was since her back was to him. Susie turned to head back to class but was apparently startled upon seeing Naruto. Naruto didn't see you there, said Susie. Miss Alphys had sent me to help you get the box of chalk from the supply closet, Naruto explained. You don't say, said Susie, standing there silently before speaking again, you didn't see what I was doing earlier, did you? Naruto quirked an eyebrow in response, not really. Is that so? Susie began to walk towards Naruto till she was right in front of him, her height making him look up to her face albeit he couldn't see her eyes because of her hair. Hey Naruto, let me tell you a little secret. Normally, Naruto isn't one to be expecting lots of things from time to time, but he's certainly expecting to be grabbed by the collar of his jacket and slammed to the lockers by Susie. Dweebs pss me off, Susie growled, her hot breath blowing into Naruto's face due to being so close to him. You think just 'cause you and that wimpy human girl helped free the monsters from the underground, I can't tell exactly what you're thinking. Naruto blinked in confusion, what? Susie began to imitate Naruto's voice, it's over. I caught Susie eating all the chalk. This is her last chance, she'll finally be expelled. I wasn't thinking anything like that, I didn't even know you were eating chalk. Naruto protested. Suzy simply scoffed, pressing him further against the lockers. Don't play dumb. Everyone's waiting for it, they all want it. So congrats, you got me. I'm all done for. Suzy, please listen. Then again, seems like a waste to get expelled just for having a snack. Might as well be kicked out for a little carnage. Suzy sneered at the blonde. Say Naruto, how do you feel about losing your face? Suzy lifted Naruto into the air and slowly pulled him towards her open jaws for him to see her yellow sharp teeth. Naruto's eyes widened at this and his right hand began to shake with a strange red glow at the palm of his bandaged hand which faded away with neither noticing. He was merely inches away from the teeth when Suzy suddenly pulled him away and dropped him to the ground, then turning from the confused blonde. Naruto, you've got a good mother, it would be a shame for her to bury her child. Suzy started walking away. Let's go and get the chalk, then you keep your mouth shut. Don't even bother give a response, don't want my time wasted. Naruto watched Suzy as she walked away. He raised his right hand to see that it was still shaking before grabbing it with his left hand to stop the shaking, much to his growing frustration. But the thing is that he isn't frustrated at Suzy but rather at himself. He eventually got up and followed after Suzy to get the chalk, then returned to class, handing it to Alphys before taking his seat. Naruto, is everything okay? Asked Frisk out of concern, noticing that he wasn't exactly being his usual self before he left the classroom. Naruto smiled assuredly in response. I'm okay, Frisk-chan. Nothing to worry about. Suzy glancing at the duo from her seat and smirked with glee, seeing that he wasn't reporting to the teacher. Soon afterwards, things went on like usual for both the students and teachers in the school until lectures were finally over. Alphys was giving the class final instructions before they left for the weekend. Alright everyone, be sure to do your assignments during the weekend so you can submit it on Monday. I won't be accepting any excuses for not doing them. Have a good weekend and see you all on Monday, said Alphys. Goodbye Miss Alphys, said the class before packing their bags and leaving. Naruto and the others were walking down the hallway when they heard someone calling out to them and looked to see that it was Toriel, who was carrying a file of papers due to being a member of the teaching staff and a well-liked one by both humans and monsters. Howdy Mom, said Asriel cheerfully. Why hello children, what are you up to? Asked Toriel fondly. We're heading over to Mom's restaurant to have lunch before going home, Naruto explained. Toriel nodded in understanding. In that case, be sure to extend my greetings to her. I'll be home in time to make dinner, Asriel. Okay Mom, said Asriel. After bidding the motherly monster farewell, the children rode their bikes towards the restaurants. They found Kushina working on the register at the counter and went to greet her. Hi Mom, Naruto greeted with the others extending their greetings as well. Hello everyone, did you all have a good time at school today? Asked Kushina fondly. Asriel nodded in response. We sure did, and my mom says hi. I'll be sure to call later. So what brought you all here? Well, Naruto had suggested for us to have our lunch here before going home, Red explained. Kushina nodded in understanding. Well, you all came at the right time as we had just dealt with the lunch rush. Just let me finish this order and I'll get right on making lunch for you kids. Kushina treated the kids to omuris along with hashed beef sauce and soft drinks. In addition, Asriel and Red had come to really enjoy Kushina's cooking, considering that she has traveled all around the world to learn from the best before starting up the restaurant. They were just about finished eating when Kushina approached them. Once you're all done eating, there's something I'd like for you to do for me, said Kushina. What is it, Auntie? Asked Asriel curiously. Apparently there's a client planning a birthday party and had requested my services. I want you to deliver a list to Ms. Muffet at the bakery for me. Okay, but why don't you just call to tell her? Asked Naruto, then he deadpanned when his mother looked away from him. Don't tell me that your phone is out of power and you forgot to bring your charger with you. Sigh, at this point, you should get yourself more than one phone charger. Anyways, we'll take the list to Ms. Muffet. Thanks Sochi. Kushina went to pick up the list in the kitchen. Auntie Kushina can be so funny sometimes, Frisk giggled. Naruto let out a small groan. I know, but she can be embarrassing during those times too. Kushina soon returned with the list in hand and passed it over to Naruto. Here you Sochi, you can go home afterwards. Okay mom, and please try to get a charger next time, said Naruto. Kushina chuckled sheepishly at his words. Let's just be quick in delivering the list and go home, Red grumbled. Don't be like that Red, we can even buy some of the baked goods for dessert since we already had lunch, Asriel pointed out. After bidding Kushina farewell, Naruto and the others left the restaurant and rode over to the Miss Muffet's bakery, parking their bikes securely and going inside to find Muffet already hard at work, serving the customers with her spider-kin scuttling and swinging around to help. Naruto recalled how the humans were a bit freaked out about the spiders but were calmed down once she provided a genuine certification of sanitation, plus her baked goods proved to be quite delicious. Muffet caught sight of Naruto and smiled amiably. How good it is to see you little cutie, just give me a few minutes and I'll be happy to spend my time with you. Naruto blushed a bit when the spider girl winked at him, then he was tugged back by Red and Frisk who were frowning for some reason. Don't forget the reason why we're here, Naruto, said Frisk with a pout. Oh okay, Naruto nodded nervously in response. You can also help yourselves to some of my baked goods at a discount of course, said Muffet playfully. Red rolled her eyes at this, for obvious reasons, of course. Naruto and Koen went to look at the current assortments of baked goods. Muffet had really expanded upon her repertoire of baking thanks to Kushina and partaking in catering school where she graduated with high marks before officially establishing her bakery. Naruto took chocolate chip cookies, Frisk helped herself to some glazed donuts, Asriel selected macarons for himself, and Red took cinnamon bunnies which were her absolute favorite. They sat and waited whilst enjoying the pastries until Muffet was finally done serving the customers and approached them. So what brings my cutie and his friends here besides visiting little old me? Asked Muffet fondly. Naruto reached into his backpack and pulled out a file to pass to her. Mom wanted me to give this to you, needing your help for an upcoming birthday party. She would have called you but her phone was out of commission as of now. I see. My kin and I will get right on it and contact her later, said Muffet, taking the file and passing it on to one of the spiders to carry to her office. By the way, when are you ever going to accept my invitation to come over for tea? You know it's not polite to keep a lady waiting after all. Naruto sweated nervously, not knowing exactly what to say considering that it isn't the first time Muffet invited him for tea, flustering a blonde boy who has little to no experience with girls like her. Frisk suddenly cleared her throat and spoke. Naruto won't be having the time for tea. She's right, we'll be having a training session with Commander Undyne and Papyrus this weekend, Red added, pulling Naruto to his feet and guiding him towards the door. Oh, you're right. I almost forgot that it's tomorrow, said Asriel with surprise, raising from his seat to follow them. Ah, that's quite a shape. But remember cutie, Muffet. Winked at the flustered blonde, my schedule is always open for tea time. Okay, said Naruto, feeling rather awkward. Come on already, Naruto. We need to get going. Red scolded before pulling Naruto out of the shop with Asriel and Frisk right behind them. Muffet watched them leave with a knowing smile on her face. They're so cute when they're jealous, it's too much fun to point out that they like him more than they think they do. Might as well enjoy myself while it lasts. Outside the bakery, the children were on their bikes and ready to pedal off when Asriel chose to ask a question. So, what do we do after this? Go home? Asked the Prince of Monsters curiously. Naruto hummed thoughtfully before responding, how about going to my place and doing the homework together? We could get it done a lot faster and then have some fun before you guys would head back to your homes. Frisk nodded eagerly at that. It sounds like a great idea. I'm up for it, said Red in agreement. Then the children rode off towards Naruto's home, intending to carry out the aforementioned plan for the rest of the day before heading for their individual homes. Later on that night, inside a house. We find Alfie sitting on a couch in the living room and watching a new episode of an anime on TV with excitement. She was snapped out of her excitement from seeing Undyne quickly walking around whilst carrying various items and stuffing them in a duffel bag with a grin on her face. What's got you so excited, Undyne? Asked Alphys curiously. Undyne looked back with a grin. Don't you remember what's happening tomorrow? No, what is it? We'll been having a training session with the kids along with Papyrus and Sans tomorrow at the mountains. I can't wait to bring out their greatest potential from within them. Not only do I get to train the prince but also the BRTS too. Maybe even get to teach them magic too, said Undyne excitedly. Alphys blinked in realization. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that. I guess some things at school really got me occupied. What could possibly be enough to make you forget about tomorrow's training? Asked Undyne. Just one of my students having trouble fitting in with the others. It's like Susie finds it difficult fitting in with the others and seems to have a certain view about the people around her. I tried to help her by pairing up with Naruto from time to time, but I'm not sure if it's working. Undyne hummed in thought. I've heard about her, seems to have a bit of an attitude problem. Looking more than ready to start a fight with anyone. It's getting to the point that Lady Toriel is expressing concern about this matter. Well, we can put this in the back burner for now. Let's concentrate on tomorrow's training instead. No doubt it will clear your mind off these downers until you're ready to take them on with your fiery passion. Alphys smiled with her cheeks tinged in pink. Thanks Undyne. You're right, plus I could get valuable data on Naruto, Frisk and Asriel during the training session. That's the way. Now help me pack these stuff up for tomorrow so we can go to bed early. I could simply put them into my item box for easier carrying, Alphys suggested. I keep forgetting about that, thanks a million Alphys. Somewhere in a bot forest close to the mountain, we focus on a medium-sized clearing where we find Naruto along with Frisk, Nikken, Asriel and Red while Undyne, Alphys, Papyrus and Sans are there for their camping/training trip. Undyne stepped and stood with her hands on her peach in akimbo then puffed up her chest as she spoke. Alright you little punks, you've signed up for Undyne Ultra Mega Boot Camp to become the best you can possibly be. Hope you can survive the experience. Naruto quirked an eyebrow in mild confusion. You got the line from a cartoon show and parroted it, didn't you? Well it sounded pretty cool when I heard it. Undyne rubbed the back of her head sheepishly then she snapped back into focus. So, what will we be doing? Asked Asriel politely. Why else but to put your bodies to the maximum and unleash your potential in magic. But I thought humans can't use magic, asked Frisk, feeling a bit confused. Actually, humans can use magic. They used to do so in the past, but it seems like the usage and knowledge of it deteriorated as time went on and became more reliant on technology. Even so, the potential lays dormant until it is accessed by the determination, Alphys explained. Determination, you mean that power that Frisk, Nikken and I had been using? Asked Naruto curiously. It's basically a power that defies fate and capable of warping the very reality for its own purposes. Both humans and monsters possess determination, however the former contain large amounts of it and the latter do not have sufficient physical matter to take in large amounts and end up melting away. And from the looks of things, you three have already unlocked your potential after what you've gone through when you were in the underground. That just quickens things a bit. Now show me what you punks can do, said Undyne. The trio hummed softly before Naruto spoke up. Well, I've learned how to use the determination to boost my physical capabilities and enhance my Botken whilst using as ammo with the gun. Then he channeled his determination with his left eye glowing with a white fiery aura as he held out his Botken with it being enshrouded in a similar aura. Frisk spoke next. I can also do the same like Naruto and I learned how to create shields to protect against attacks too. She held her hands before her to project a circular shield of energy then manipulated it into a dome with her inside of it. Asriel was the last to speak. Well, I know how to use fire magic and a couple of magic attacks that I created some time ago. He conjured multiple fireballs to float around him and created a chaos saber albeit a bit smaller compared to when he was in his hyperdeath form. Apparently, Asriel can use some of his attacks but were toned down by a lot. Undyne nodded in understanding. Looks like you three already have a bit of a start, that's good. Now to get you through the necessities then we'll start on learning new magic. She turned to Red and spoke to her. We'll also continue with your training. I recall that you've yet to summon your guardians. Red nodded in affirmation whilst Frisk looked excited and Asriel seemed to be okay with it at least. Naruto was about to say something when the book tethered to his foreman started glowing, then hovered into the air whilst extending the chain to open up and flip through the pages before stopping, much to the surprise of everyone. "What's this all about?" asked Undyne. Alphys hummed in thought. "It's like I theorized, the book possesses sentience and chose Naruto to be its owner, given that it's currently tethered to his arm and had refused to let go since then. Then why is it acting so strangely all of a sudden?" Papyrus queried. "My best guess is that it must have reacted to when Undyne spoke of magic spells and wanted to show him what it contains relating to that." Naruto looked through the current page with concentration before speaking. "She's right, I'm seeing something called glyphs." Frisk blinked in confusion. "Glyphs?" "According to the definition, it says that glyphs are magical symbols that contain arcane energies that serve as embodiments of all living things. These magic seals can be used for many purposes, such as casting elemental magic spells, summoning creatures to assist in combat, materializing weapons from thin air, and even transforming the user into a variety of creatures." "That sounds so cool, maybe you can turn into a dragon and stuff like that," said Asriel with growing excitement. Naruto turned a page to see artistic symbols as well as their functions and effects. From what he's reading, the glyphs are categorized into two forms, main and sub. The main glyph is often applied to the back or chest, while the sub-glyphs are applied to the arms or legs. The sub-glyphs are meant for offensive attacks and the main glyph on the back supportive skills, such as maneuvering spells, transformations, summoning creatures, or temporary boosts. "True, but it might take a while until I figure it out," said Naruto thoughtfully. "In that case, we'll move on to something far more interesting." "A game of capture the flag," said Undyne excitedly. How do we do that?" asked Frisk curiously. "Papyrus and I will be guarding a flag which you three should try to take from us and carry back to your zone while protecting it from us until the time's up." Papyrus held up said flag, albeit having a picture of said skeleton, much to Undyne's chagrin. "I the great Papyrus eagerly await to test your mettle," said Papyrus excitedly. Naruto smiled and brandished his Bakken. "All right then, I'm good to go." "I'll do my best," said Asriel eagerly. Frisk nodded in agreement. "Me too." "Arf arf." Nikken called out, not wanting to be left out. Undyne nodded in approval. "All right then, let's set up the place." They set up the arena with Undyne and Papyrus at one end of the clearing with the flag behind them, while Naruto along with Frisk, Asriel and Nikken were at the other end of the clearing, waiting for Alphys to give the signal. Meanwhile, Alphys had set up a laptop from a safe distance and deployed a drone to hover overhead and begin recording. Alright everyone, the training begins now. Azzy, take point." Naruto called out as he channeled determination throughout his body for his next action. "Right." Asriel waved his hands to conjure multiple fireballs around himself before launching them towards Undyne and Papyrus. The aspiring skeletal knight sharply raised his hand to summon a wall of large bones from the ground to block the fireballs before bringing it down to reveal Undyne having conjured magic spears before launching them at the kids. "I got this." Naruto dashed forward at the spears and deflected them skillfully with his Bakken without stopping, rapidly drawing closer. Undyne formed a spear and stood at the ready when Naruto suddenly stabbed the Bakken into the ground and dragged it along before yanking it out and throwing up a cloud of dust. "What the?" Undyne was taken aback by the sudden action, having expected Naruto to engage her in close combat when she suddenly heard Asriel's voice call out, "Shocker breaker." Undyne's eyes widened before grabbing Papyrus and leaping away right as colorful bolts of lightning shot down from above and struck where they once stood, darting about as additional bolts continued to attack. The bolts soon stopped and Undyne looked to see that Frisk had grabbed the flag and was running back to her team's territory to stake it there. "Oh no you don't." Undyne placed Papyrus down and lunged at Frisk to stop her, but Naruto suddenly appeared before her and clashed against her spear with his enhanced Bakken. "I won't let you." Naruto pushed back to hold her at bay. Undyne urgently called out, "Papyrus, don't let her get away." "At once." Papyrus waved his hand to create walls of bones to surround Frisk and restrain her movement. "Now, may you surrender the flag to me?" Frisk looked rather hesitant to comply when suddenly a blur came out of nowhere and slammed strongly in Papyrus, knocking him down and revealing to be Nicken. Arf, the wolf pup barked, his tail wagging happily. Frisk, I'm going to get you out. Shield yourself. Asriel held his hands close together to form a sphere of magical energy, star blazing. He flung the sphere high into the air as it burst apart to unleash a hailstorm of star-shaped projectiles. Frisk quickly protected herself with a shield of determination to protect herself as the bones around her shattered to pieces and Papyrus had to use his bones to defend himself. Thanks Asriel. Come on, Nicken. Frisk ran back towards her area with Nicken scampering next to her. Dang it, now way I'm gonna let us lose. Undyne released a burst of strength to get off Naruto aside and dashed towards Frisk to intercept her. Naruto quickly got up and chased after her with his determination to enhance his speed and rapidly caught up with her. He reared his Botken back in preparation to strike at her legs and trip her up when something flashed in his eyes which caused him to react strangely. Then he suddenly changed tactics and overtook Undyne to block her off as Frisk finally reared their territory and stabbed the flag into the ground, then conjoining with Asriel to form an energy shield to block Undyne and Papyrus off akin to a makeshift fortress. The game is over, Naruto and his group are the winners. Alphys declared. Alright, we won, said Asriel happily. Nicely done, just like we had planned, said Naruto in approval, catching Nicken in his arms when the wolf pup leapt into his arms to lick his face. Frisk nodded in response, it was thanks to you Naruto. You truly show the traits of a leader, said Red, having been spectating until now. Undyne approached them while rubbing the back her head with Papyrus and Alphys in tow. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting you three to win when we hadn't started the real training. Guess it's our fault for not being more serious at the beginning. But this only shows me that your potential is far greater than I thought. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, geez, thanks. I'm feeling kinda hungry after all this, let's get some lunch. Me too, I'm starving. Frisk and Asriel were in agreement with the suggestion. Then everyone started walking towards the camping site. However, Alphys was rewatching the recording and noticed something odd. That's strange. It looks like Naruto was about to knock Undyne off her feet from behind, then decided to block her from up front. I wonder why. After a week of training in both physical and magical, Naruto, Asriel, Red and Frisk developed quite well. They could manipulate their determination much more fluently. Naruto applied the main glyph to his back and the sub-glyphs to his arms, then modified them to be invisible to the naked eye when not in use. Frisk became more defensive and developed various forms of energy shields to defend herself and others at various ages. She was also learning healing techniques from Alphys. Asriel was getting better with his original spells and that of his parents' fire spells, placing himself in the position of being a long-range combatant, but was taking some lessons from Naruto in the use of his chaos sabers. Red was halfway through with her own training as she managed to summon a guardian to fight alongside her, but has yet to summon a second, which Undyne seeks to rectify. The group were currently departing from the Abat forest and heading back home, but there was something rather awkward going on and everyone were looking at the subject of the matter at hand, who was none other than Naruto. The young blonde was walking down the mountain path with an expression on his face that is hard to read. He had been getting this look on his face several times during training and tries to hide it from them, much to their growing worry. No longer wanting to keep being silent, Asriel spoke, Naruto, are you doing okay? Naruto turned to Asriel with a grin and his eyes closed. I'm okay, Azzy. Just got something on my mind, nothing for you to worry about. He walked further ahead of the group. Frisk frowned at the sight of this. He's been doing this several times this week. Naruto says he's fine when he really isn't. Why doesn't he want to talk to us about it? Undyne was thinking the same thing as she recalled what Alphys told her. Naruto was about to knock you down from behind when he hesitated and rather chose to defend instead. It's almost as if he doesn't like attacking even though he's more than capable of doing so, Alphys' voice echoed in her mind. And she's right, I paid more attention and noticed that he never makes a move until the enemy moves first. Even when I waited for him to attack, he didn't do so, thought Undyne. They soon arrived at Naruto's home to drop him off and Kushina came out to greet them. It's good to see you're back, I hope that your trip went well. Indeed it did, Miss Uzumaki. The great Papyrus has contributed to the growth of these wonderful children, said Papyrus much to the amusement of the others sans Naruto. That's nice to hear, I hope to see you all later. Undyne nodded in response, you can count on that, now let's get these two back to their home before the queen starts getting worried. Alright, Alphys blushed at the passion of her girlfriend. Very well, let us be off, said Papyrus, taking the lead before Undyne eventually does. We'll see you at school next week, Naruto, said Red. Naruto smiled a bit and bade them farewell, yeah, catch you later. Kushina noticed the look on her son's face and waited until the others were gone, then they went inside. Sochi-kun, is there something wrong? Are you alright? Nikken pawed at his MSTR's leg in concern, never having seen him like this and frankly isn't liking it in the least. Mom, I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about, Naruto spoke without turning to face her. Are you sure? You don't look very happy like you usually do. I'm sure, just need some rest and I'll be back to normal, Naruto assured her before going upstairs with a worried Nikken following after, and Kushina wasn't convinced at all. I haven't seen him like this since that day. That night, Naruto had a dream. He found himself in the front yard of his home where he saw a man with spiky blonde hair standing ahead with his back turned to him before turning around to face him. A smile appeared on Naruto's face as he knew who this man was. The man smiled fondly at Naruto. Hey there son, how's it going? Great as always now that you're here, Dad, said Naruto happily. Naruto's father, Minato Namikaze tousled Naruto's hair playfully. Glad to hear that. Have you been training like always? Every day after school. How about you show me then? If it's good enough, I might just teach you a new technique. Just wait right here, I'll go and get my Bakken. Naruto excitedly ran up to his room and soon returned with his Bakken in hand. Okay Dad, I'm back with my He saw that his father was nowhere to be seen in the front yard. Dad, where are you? He strode forward and began looking around, not noticing that the house behind him was crumbling away into nothingness and darkness was spreading out. Dad! Dad! Panic began setting in. Naruto ran about and frantically looked for his father. Dad! Dad, where are you? The darkness had completely engulfed his surroundings and all he could hear are the echoes of his voice reverberating all over. Dad! He suddenly stopped as he noticed that he had been stepping on something wet and his hands felt like they were soaked. He raised them only to see them covered in something horrifying crimson-red blood. Naruto shot up from his bed, breathing heavily with sweat dripping down his forehead. He fearfully raised his hands to see that they were still bandaged with no traces of blood in sight. Taking a few calming breaths, Naruto flopped his head back onto the pillow and stared at the ceiling with a frown on his face. This wasn't the first time he's been having that nightmare. He felt an unwanted memory beginning to surface and quickly shook his head to keep it away before trying another attempt for a peaceful sleep. The next morning at the dining table, Kushina doesn't need any more convincing that there's something seriously bothering her son given that there were bags underneath his eyelids which told her that he didn't sleep well last night. Said person was currently forcing himself to eat breakfast and refusing to look back at his mother whom he knew was about to query him any moment from now, which she did. Please Naruto, tell me what's wrong. It obviously bothering you greatly to the point that you aren't getting any sleep, Kushina insisted. It's just some stress which has been building up these days. I'll do some training in the mountains to work it off, then I'll be right as rain. Naruto picked up his dirty dishes and went to wash them at the kitchen sink. And if that isn't the case, asked Kushina, her next action depending on his response. Then I'll tell you everything, I promise. The red-headed mother stood there silently, watching Naruto wash the dishes before letting out a sigh of exasperation. Fine, only because you promised. Naruto turned to smile at her a bit. Thanks Mom, sorry for making you so worried about me. Kushina embraced her son warmly. Don't be silly, it's my job as a mother to worry about you. Nodding affirmation, Naruto went up the stairs to his room to pick up his Bakken before heading down to the garage to pick up his bike with Nikken hopping into the basket which he had installed for the wolf pup to ride in for the meantime. The duo finally arrived at his usual training area where he set down his bag and went on to do his usual session of shadow fighting with an opponent, albeit in defense and evasion. As the training went on, Naruto's mind began to wander. Why have I been getting these nightmares nowadays? What could have caused them? Could it have been when I went on that training trip with Undyne and the others and had those spars with them? Thought Naruto as he continued to train. It's been making me think of Dad more often than before, as well as that day. He remembered it all too clearly. His father was an agent and known to be one of the very best with 100% success rate in every mission, which made Naruto very proud of him, but not to the point of being arrogant. That day, Naruto left school and rushed home as he knew that his dad would be coming. When he arrived home, he found Kakashi and Jiraiya comforting a tearful Kushina, and there was no sign of Minato, which filled him with dread. Both Kakashi and Jiraiya were hesitant to tell him what happened until Naruto practically screamed at them to tell him where his father was. Jiraiya sadly revealed that Minato had been killed in action during a mission. Naruto felt numb and that a part of himself broke. He stumbled out of the house while ignoring the calls from the others as he ran into the city with the weather turning stormy, as if reacting to his current state of distress. It was also that day, he did something that traumatized him to the point of become a partial shut-in and refusing to go to school, as well as being unable to attack but rather defend. He leaned his back against a tree whilst gritting his teeth in growing frustration towards himself, and his hands shook. Whenever he thought to attack, he felt hollow inside, like he had lost a major part of who he is. He thought he was getting over what happened ever since he and Frisk helped the monsters leave Mtibot, but it seems that he was fooling himself. Naruto feels great confidence in others but can't say the same for himself. It could be why he didn't even try to defend himself when Suzy had pinned him to the lockers back at school. At this rate, how will I be able to protect my loved ones and uphold my dad's teachings? That is, if I'm still worthy of them or anything at all, thought Naruto in self-loathing. Nikken whined softly at the sight of his MSTR and went to comfort him. Suddenly, a black void appeared from out of nowhere, much to the shock of both Naruto and Nikken, which stepped away in caution, but it was for naught as black tendrils of energy shot out of the void and wrapped around Naruto's limbs and proceeded to pull him towards it. What's going on here? Naruto struggled against his bonds. Arf arf. Nikken lunged at the tendrils with intent to bite them and help, but to no avail as he was smacked away and looked to see his MSTR be pulled into the void, with it disappearing soon after, much to the wolf pup's horror. Whining softly, Nikken sniffed around to try and pick up Naruto's scent but wasn't finding, which only made him even more anxious. Seeing that there's nothing to do more on his own, Nikken hastily made his way back to the house to alert his MSTR's mom as well as everyone else in hopes that they would find a way to locate Naruto and get him back. The wolf pup left the area, not sticking around long enough to see a mysterious figure emerged from behind a tree with a thoughtful look on their face. This will be interesting. Let's see how he fares in a timeline where he'll be forced to take action against someone who shows no mercy. This will definitely make things interesting, that for sure. Consciousness gradually returns to Naruto, who at first felt like he was floating in the air with no gravity applied to him. Then the next thing he realized that he was lying on something soft, which was more than enough to rouse himself awake. Oh man, what happened and where am I? Naruto trailed off as he looked around and noticed that he was lying in a bed of flowers very familiar to him, and the same could be said for his surroundings. I'm in the underground. That weird portal must have warped me here. That's a relief. For a second there I thought that I was warped to another world like in those manga and anime. He got up and patted the flowers and dirt off his clothes before looking around. Might as well make my way out and head back home. The blonde began making his way through the ruins, already knowing where exactly to go and how to traverse the traps laid throughout the area, looking around as he walked and felt nostalgic while recalling what he and the others went through when they first came here. However, he felt something weird that even his soul thumped in discomfort. It felt like the atmosphere had gone still. The place was silent, dead silent, that Naruto would have chalked it up to the fact that it was because all of the monsters had moved out of the underground, but he didn't feel convinced that it was the case. Then there was another oddity. Dust? Naruto muttered lowly as he looked at the aforementioned dust in confusion. Why would there be dust scattered all over? It hasn't been too long since the monsters had left, and for some reason, he felt something familiar about the dust and didn't like it. Best I kept on moving. I'm almost at Toriobasan's old home. Sure enough, Naruto arrived at the place and went inside. Still looks the same like the first time. Now to head downstairs and make my way to Snowed In. He went down the stairs to the long tunnel. Naruto reached the exit and came upon a pile of dust again, and in a pile here. He was nervous about the dust at first, but now the feeling of fear was taking root in his heart. Things have been very odd and unusual ever since that portal brought him here. Could this dust be? No, it can't be. I'm probably thinking into it too much. He went through the exit with hesitance and soon entered the snowed-in forest, where he noticed faded footprints on the snowy ground leading further inside the forest. There's someone here before me. Maybe it's one of the monsters going to Snowed-in Town. I'll see about catching up and hopefully getting some answers. Naruto set off at a jogging pace, unaware that he was being watched. Somewhere in Hotland, someone was watching through the monitor at the many piles of dust, with the numbers gradually increasing in horror. She wasn't expecting anything like this happening ever since she first saw that human emerge from the ruins. At first she thought that the human could be friendly, but it was immediately shattered when she saw the human kill a monster without hesitation. Oh my god, that human is killing the monster. At this rate, she might wipe us out. No, I mustn't think that. I'm sure Undyne will be able to stop the human before that happens. And the person noticed something on one of the mini-screens and zoomed in, only to be shocked upon what was on display. Another human, here. This might make things worse. I need to call someone. She scrambled for her phone and quickly dialed in a number. Back with Naruto, he was already crossing the bridge leading to Snowed-in Town. Along the way, the blonde kept seeing piles of dust and at times actually caught glimpses of monsters, but for some reason, they hid away from him as if terrified to be in his presence. What's going on here? Why are there still monsters in the underground, and why are they scared to see me? It's like they don't even recognize me, Naruto muttered lowly to himself as he finally arrived at Snowed-in and soon noticed that there was no one outside, but the lights in the houses are on. I don't understand. There are monsters still living here. Why? Ain't that a question that is on everyone's minds today? A familiar voice suddenly spoke, causing Naruto to trace the voice towards a Christmas tree where he saw someone just as familiar step out from behind the tree. Naruto was surprised to see who it is. Sans. What are you doing here? What's going on? Seems like you know me when I don't know you, said Sans nonchalantly, but there was nary a trace of humor in his voice, making Naruto feel rather tense. What do you mean by that? Of course we know each other. You helped Frisk and I out while we were in the underground and trying to find our way out the first time, Naruto pointed out. Then he noticed something about Sans. Isn't that papyrus scarf you're wearing? I'm surprised that he's letting you wear it. Naruto then saw Sans reach for the scarf and grip it very tightly without saying a word. This action drew concern from Naruto as he hesitantly called out to the skeleton, Sans. Sans glanced at the second human before, feeling wary, and couldn't help but suspect that he too might kill monsters as well, but the fact that this same human knew him and everyone in the underground very well also raises a lot of questions that require answers. Follow me, kiddo. It's too cold for us to hold a chat out here when we can do it at Grillby's. No need for a shortcut. Filled with even more confusion and questions, Naruto followed Sans over to Grillby's and went inside, mildly noticing that none from the K9 unit were present. They took their seats at the counter and sat down in silence for some time until Sans decided to speak up. So how is it that you know my name and that the scarf is my brother's? Asked Sans. Naruto crossed his arms as he responded, of course I would know you too, as you both my friends. He went on to speak about his and Frisk's time in the underground and how Sans helped them to the end and are friends. You can't say that you don't recall. Sans shrugged his shoulders as he replied, sorry, none of those ring any bells in my skull, especially since I've never met you in particular. Hearing this, Naruto couldn't be any more confused. I'm so confused. Frisk and I had even shattered the barrier and freed all of the monsters. So why are they back in the underground? Kiddo, you must have bumped your head on your way here. That's quite an imagination you have there, said Sans. I'm not imagining things. I'm telling you the truth. Look kid, as far as I can understand, we never met each other before and it was just Frisk that fell down. As for the barrier being shattered part, the barrier is still there, so I don't know what to tell ya. Tibia, honest here, I think you may have hit yourself in the head too hard after that fall. Darn it, why are you doubting me about this, thought Naruto with growing frustration. Although, the fact you even know my name as well as Papyrus's scarf and the kid which we never met as well as telling me your story does raises questions given it was very specific, Sans hummed thoughtfully, and to add on the fact, despite your story is far-fetched given that it never happened, you don't look like the lying type as I get the feeling you're telling the truth. Naruto huffed, of course, I'm not lying. Okay kid, let's say I believe you and tell me more of your story, I might have a theory of your situation. Sure, Naruto proceeded to tell Sans everything he knows as well as the names of the monsters he and Frisk befriended as well as how the monsters are living on the surface with the humans. Sans was listening in as the more he hears his story, he was starting to think this human is not around here. I don't mean him being in the underground but like not around in this world, but he needs to make sure before he can confirm his theory. I see, I believe you, but I want to ask something, how exactly did you arrive here? Sans inquired. Naruto hummed thoughtfully, well, I was doing some training in the forest to sort out some issues, that's when a weird portal suddenly appeared from out of nowhere and sucked me inside, then I woke up on a flower patch inside the ruins. That just confirms what I'm thinking, the reason why I don't know and yet you're so familiar with the underground. The portal didn't simply transport you to the underground, it took you from your own timeline and into mine. Naruto was silent for a moment before chuckling, that's funny Sans, surely that's not the case here. However, the blonde took note of the seriousness in Sans' expression, I'm not kidding with this, I'm actually being serious about this for once, no puns about it. Could it be true, that portal sent me to another timeline? Then again, it could also explain why Sans wasn't familiar with me and that the monsters are still in the underground. Plus I didn't see the save points along the way too. I wonder why, thought Naruto, but then, how am I going to find my way back to my own timeline? No worries there kiddo, I'm pretty sure that Alphys and I can figure a way to get you back to your own timeline, said Sans with a reassuring grin. Naruto smiled softly in gratitude, thanks very much Sans, I've been wondering for a while, why are all of the monsters scared of me and where's Frisk? Is she with Papyrus or something? At that question, Sans looked away from Naruto with his eyes turning black, not knowing of what exactly to tell the blonde who was wondering why he hasn't gotten an answer yet. Sans, what's going on? After a moment of silence, Sans finally spoke, kid, there's something else you should know about my timeline that you have found yourself in and the reason why the monsters are afraid and went to hiding. It all involves with Frisk. Naruto frowned at this. Just what is it that scares the monsters so much and does it have to do with Frisk? Sans, what are you getting at here? What does this involve with Frisk? The skeleton hesitated before letting out a sigh and finally dropped the bomb, well kid, the reason this involves Frisk because she's committing genocide here. Frisk is going around killing monsters left and right, which is the reason why the monsters around here are afraid and went to hiding after seeing you. In other words kid, Frisk started another genocide run. Naruto simply sat there as the words repeatedly echoed in his mind. Frisk has been killing innocent monsters, a girl whom he knows well to be gentle and kind is not hesitant in killing without a second thought. He just couldn't believe it, the sense of denial was strong in his gut. Then he recalled a certain detail in Sans' statement. Hey Sans, what do you mean by another genocide run? Naruto inquired confusedly. This isn't the first time that Frisk has done a genocide run, she has done so 3 times and this will be the 4th one. Naruto was now beyond horrified to learn that Frisk had been using the power of reset to repeatedly kill the monsters without any remorse. For what reason would she be doing this so many times? Just why is she killing the monsters? Sans shrugged in response, who knows? Best guess is that she wanted to gain LV, leaving behind nothing but dust in her rampage. Dust? Then all what I've been seeing, oh my god, Naruto had forgotten what happens to monsters when they die or are killed, but now it came back to him. She even killed Torielo-Basin. Then something equally disturbing came to mind as he turned to Sans, did she also to Papyrus? Nothing needed to be said with Sans' silence telling him everything. Naruto had never felt so confused with this mixture of emotions stirring in his mind, he just doesn't know how to make sense of any of this. The Frisk here is far too different from the Frisk he knows and cares about, it's almost as if she's not the same person at all. Something doesn't make sense at all. I need to figure this out and fast before any more monsters get killed by her, thought Naruto before speaking to Sans. Do you know where Frisk is right now? Sans hummed and thought, if I had to guess, I reckon that she'll be at Waterfall by now. However, I need to go to Ulfi's at Hotland so we can figure out a way to help you as well as dealing with Frisk. Until then, I want you to hide at my house. Naruto frowned. No, I can help you stop her. No can do, kiddo. I can't risk her finding out that there's another human here in the underground. She won't hesitate to kill you. I'm not weak, Sans. I was trained in combat, even more so thanks to that training trip I had with Undyne and the others. It doesn't make it any less dangerous for you. Darn it, Sans, this may not be my timeline, but I won't just sit by and watch you all suffer this again and again. I know I can. He dash. Enough already. Sans snapped at Naruto with his eyes glowing blue, effectively silencing the blonde who was taken by surprise. The skeleton sighed at this. Sorry about that, kid, just have a lot on my plate already. I'm still trying to come to terms about not being able to save my brother again, and I'm reaching my limit. So please, just listen to me on this. Just stay inside my house and wait until I get back. We'll definitely get you back home. Sans hopped off the bar stool and began walking away. This is not your fight but rather ours. He closed the door behind him and left. Naruto sat alone in silence, contemplating over Sans' words. As much as he understands reasoning, a part of him isn't willing to accept being idle and worrying about what ifs, else he would be filled with nothing but regrets to add to his problems already bothering him even at night. You may be right about this not being my timeline, Sans, but I'm not going to cower in a corner and hope for the best when I change things with my own hands right here and now. Naruto hopped off the bar stool with his eyes narrowed in focus. Sans said that Frisk will be at Waterfall by now. I'll head over there and hopefully stop her before she gets to Undyne and Monster Kid. Naruto left Grillby's and was soon running down the snowy in direction of Waterfall, unaware that someone had seen him leave and was quite shocked at his presence in the underground. Another human, here. How could it be so when I haven't seen him during the previous resets? I wonder how she will react upon seeing him, said the person before following after the blonde silently. After what would be 5 minutes of running through the snowy pathway, Naruto had finally reached the outskirts of Snowdin and was just about to enter Waterfall before slowing down slightly to a jogging pace. Okay, I'm about to reach Waterfall. Hopefully I can catch up to Frisk and find out why she's doing all this, then stop her from taking any more lives. Thinking of her repeatedly killing Torielo-Basin and the others makes me feel rather ill, said Naruto in discomfort. Time for less thinking and more moving. Having gone through Waterfall several times back in his home dimension, Naruto knew exactly where he needed to go, albeit wasn't too sure that he could rely on the river person for transportation due to Frisk's actions being likely to have terrified all of the monsters by now, but a part of him hopes that some would be able to listen to him like Sans did. Having gone through Waterfall many times back in his dimension, Naruto quickly made his way through the areas at a steady pace. It also helped that a majority of the puzzles had already been solved by Frisk, which could help him catch up to her. However, he continues to come upon heaps of dusts, telling him that she had been through here and hasn't stopped killing the innocent monsters, much to his growing aggravation. Upon arriving at the wooden docks, Naruto discovered an issue: the raft used to cross the river to the other sides is missing. No doubt due to Frisk having used it earlier before he showed up. With the raft on the other side, I'll need to find another way to cross. Naruto looked at the pitch-black murky water before him thoughtfully. Suddenly he snapped his fingers as an idea came into mind. When you can't find a way, then you just have to make one. He stretched out an arm as the glyph on it glowed in preparation. Grando. He conjured a dagger made of ice which flew forward and splashed into the water before forming a block of ice. Naruto jumped onto the ice block and stomped on it a few times to see that it was holding steady. Guess all those video games I've been playing are coming in handy right now. Continuing to conjure more ice daggers to create blocks for stepping stones, Naruto made his way across to the other side of the water. Unknown to him, the stalker from before had witnessed his actions and was no less shocked to see what he had done. He can use magic. How could this be? Humans shouldn't be capable of doing so. Would he be able to know? It can't be. She has shown to be more than capable, I'll just have to go according to the plan, said the stalker before sinking back into the ground. After reaching over to the other side, Naruto continued onwards through the rainy section of the area and reaching the long wooden bridges till he came upon the end which had been cut off courtesy of Undyne. I forgot about this part. Now to figure a way to get down there without breaking any bones, Naruto muttered lowly. The grimoire floated up before him with the chain magically extending before opening up to flip through the pages, then stopping at a page for him to read through. Okay, this one should help. Naruto stepped close to the edge as he channeled his energy towards his back. Villaticus, the glyph on his back glowed before conjuring a pair of purple bird-like wings from it. After testing them out by flapping them, Naruto leaned over the edge and went into a freefall before spreading his wings to begin his gradual descent to the bottom. He began to hear the sound of rushing water and soon arrived at the garbage dump, landing on the ground safely with the wings disappearing before continuing on his way. Passing through the crossroads, Naruto glanced in the direction of Napstablook's home with worry. I'm hoping against hope that he's doing okay. His thoughts were disrupted as he heard the sound of rapid footsteps that grew louder until he finally saw who it was. "MK?" asked Naruto in shock. Monster Kid turned to Naruto and gasped in fear, taking several steps back. Another human? Are we being invaded? This is super bad. The blonde tried to calm the monster down. Whoa, easy there. I'm not anyone bad. I don't believe you. I bet you and the other human are working together. Well, you can forget it. Undyne will kick both your ass like the awesome knight she is, said Monster Kid in defiance. Hearing this filled Naruto with dread. Are you saying that Undyne is fighting Frisk right now? That's right, she's totally gonna kick her ass. Too bad I won't be there to. Hey, where are you going? The reason for MK's question out of confusion would be because Naruto went past him and was running as fast as he could towards where the young monster was talking about in hopes to reach there in time. Gotta hurry over there and stop all this. Naruto called upon his determination to enhance his speed, unaware that the glowing aura in his left eye has been flickering like a dying flame as of late. Tearing across the pathways as fast as he could, Naruto reached the place where he and Frisk had officially fought Undyne and was greeted with a scene he was hoping not to see. No, it couldn't be, Naruto muttered in disbelief and denial. Before him was a pile of dust along with a blue glowing spear which only meant one thing. Undyne, oh my god, she really killed you. He collapsed on his knees, barely fighting back the tears as they flowed down his cheeks and splashed to the floor, his hands clenched into fists as a budding feeling of anger and rage began to grow. Just what is your reason for killing them, huh? What sin did they commit against you, huh? Toriel welcomed you to her home. Sans had borne no animosity. Papyrus was as kind as can be and would never hurt a fly just for kicks. Naruto rose to his feet, teeth gritting and feelings bubbling from within and about to burst wide open. They did nothing wrong, they didn't do anything wrong. Just what the hell is your problem, huh? Tell me. Panting from his outcry, Naruto took some time to calm himself down and try to work out his next move. He can't afford to lose control of his emotions right now or it will end up doing more harm than good. Okay, the best thing I can do right now is meet up with Alphys. No doubt she has seen what had happened and trying to help everyone along with Sans. Just hoping that she won't fear me. With that said, Naruto began his silent trek towards the lab. He needn't bother looking around to know that there was a severe reduction in the population of monsters and knew the very cause. No doubt that Frisk will use the power of reset the very moment she kills Askari, which puts him in a deadline. He may not know the reason why he was transported here, but he definitely doesn't like being here at all this death, and for what? Something tells him that he won't like the reason once he finally confronts Frisk. Finally arriving at the lab, Naruto opened the door and stepped inside, finding the room to be in darkness save for the lit screen which was displaying the lab's doorway, which told Naruto that Alphys saw him coming and went to hide. Alphys, please come out. I need to speak to you. Naruto called out but received no response and so tried again. I'm not an enemy of the monsters, I'm here to help you guys. Meanwhile in a hidden room, Alphys was observing Naruto with trepidation as he continued to call for her. She had been working on the evacuation of all the monsters she could contact in order to save what's left from the genocide of the human, although she kept getting the feeling that this wasn't the first time she had done this, almost like a blurry dream of sorts. Alfie snapped back into focus to see that the human was still calling out to her. She was rather hesitant to show herself due to the actions of the first human, especially when she killed Undyne, which was what triggered her to begin the evacuation. I don't know if I should meet him. He could kill me like the other human, but Alphys recalled when she observed Naruto besides the first human and saw how depressed he became whenever he saw the ashes. Then she witnessed how vocal he became when he came upon Undyne's ashes and spear. Sans did say that this one's different. I just hope that I'm not making a mistake. Pushing a button to make a wall panel slide open, Alphys timidly stepped out and shyly called out to the spiky-haired human, hello there. Naruto turned to see Alphys and let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness you're here. I was worried that Frisk would have gotten to you. I was moving the remaining monsters to the underground lab so as to protect them, Alphys explained. But wouldn't that mean they would see them? Asked Naruto. Alphys flinched from the inquiry and spoke slowly. I know, but if it is to save everyone, then I'm willing to reveal the hidden truth to them. Sans told me that you are a different kind of human compared to the first one. Naruto nodded in affirmation. Yeah, from a different dimension altogether. An alternate dimension? Tell me more, said Alphys excitedly, the scientist part of her taking the driver's seat. Are things similar or different between the dimensions? Well, for starters, the Frisk of my dimension are friends. When we first fell to the underground, we went through a lot but never killed a single monster, even though they came after our souls. In the long run, we were able to shatter the barrier and free the monsters. Things were bumpy in the beginning, but the humans were able to get along with them, Naruto explained. Astounding. So what am I doing now? You're currently a teacher at my new high school and Undyne is in charge of Gym 2. I see, it must be nice, said Alphys with a sad smile. She wished something like that could happen here, but it's highly unlikely with so many monsters having been killed and all. Naruto took note of her sad expression and sympathized. It's okay, everything will be alright. But I need to ask where Frisk is right now. Why? 'Cause I'm going to stop her. This genocide has to be brought to an end. What? But she'll kill you too. Don't worry, I'm stronger than I look and trained in actual combat. No doubt, Frisk will be going after Askari, said Naruto seriously, and then use the power of reset to do this over again. Even so, Alphys was hesitant, recalling that Sans told her over the phone that he doesn't want Naruto to get involved. Please Alphys, let me help you guys. Like I told Sans, this may not be my timeline, but I won't just sit by and watch you all suffer. Let me help. The timid scientist looked into his eyes and saw that he was not going to change his mind in confronting the human no matter how much she tries to refuse. Undyne would have liked him if she was still alive. She let out a sigh of resignation. Okay, I was keeping track of her and she's currently at the core. I'll guide you through to reach her. Naruto smiled happily. Thanks Alphys, I won't let you down. Sigh, I hope so. I'll keep in contact through your phone as I guide you through the shortest routes in the core. Thanks again, you won't regret it. Naruto informed Alphys of his phone contact and prepared to set out when she called out to him. Wait, there's something I'd like to give to you. Alphys went to the computer and typed something down, then a disc slid out of the console when she placed into a strong casing and held out to Naruto. I want you to take this. Naruto took the case with a look of confusion. What is it? It's something I was working on before all this happened. Now I don't have it in me to continue anymore. So, I'm hoping that my counterpart in your dimension will be able to finish what I had started. Realizing what she really meant, Naruto gave a silent nod and started walking towards the exit, but not before saying something. Don't tell Sans about me. No doubt he would try to stop me. Then he left the lab. Alphys stood there alone in the darkness with the monitor lighting up the place dimly, torn between informing Sans of Naruto's actions or remaining silent. So many things are happening one after another. To Alphys, this has been nothing but a very long nightmare which she can't seem to wake up from and wanted badly to do so. Somewhere deep inside, she hopes that this human will be able to save them from this genocide. Emerging from the door of the lab, Naruto surveyed the area of the hot land with a frown on his face. his phone started ringing, which he quickly answered. "And Naruto, I'll help guide you to the core," Alphys offered through the phone. Naruto shook his head in response, "There's no need since I know the way there, plus, I'd rather need your help when I get to the core instead." "Oh okay, be careful." "I will," said Naruto before ending the call and snapping back into focus, "better get a move on." Naruto headed back to the crossroads with a heavy heart, knowing that the route would be open due to the absence of the guards watching over the area. He went to the elevator and operated it to take him to the right third floor. He continued on to reach the MTT resort, and sure enough, the place was completely deserted thanks to Alphys having evacuated the remaining monsters to the true lab to keep them safe. He moved on to cross the bridge and arrive at the entrance of the core before calling Alphys on the phone. "Alphys, I made it to the core and I don't need to guess that the hotel has been disabled, right?" Naruto inquired. "Why yes, I altered the core with hopes that I could slow her down," Alphys responded. "Yeah, but Frisk would already know how to bypass them since she has gone through this before," the blonde thought with a frown. "Alright then, guide me through the shortest route so I can catch up to her." "Are you sure that we shouldn't let Sans know of this?" "No, we shouldn't. The moment he finds out, Sans will try to resolve everything by himself even if it kills him in the process." Naruto was quick to affirm strongly, recalling his own Sans may seem lazy but deep inside can be very serious about things. "Oh, I didn't realize that. We need to focus. I'm setting my phone to loudspeaker so you can guide me while I go." The blonde activated the loudspeaker before placing it carefully into his pocket so he would be able to hear it. "Okay, let's hurry." Naruto proceeded to run through the hallways of the core with Alphys keeping track of him via the GPS on his phone and giving him directions along the way and making sure that he didn't run into any traps that might slow him. A part of Naruto wanted to seek out Red but immediately dropped the idea out of fear that he would find something that would affirm her being killed by Frisk as well. Ever since he found himself in this alternate dimension and learning what has been going on, Naruto's mental state has been taking on a serious toll and he's barely keeping himself together through all this to the point that he's not even sure how much more he could take at this rate. Just ahead is a hallway and afterwards you'll find an elevator leading away from the core and towards the king's premises, said Alphys. Roger that. Naruto arrived at the doorway and was about to open it when he noticed something. Isn't this where Alphys? Where's Mettaton? Come to think of it, I haven't been in contact with him for some time now. Hearing this, Naruto immediately barged through the door into the room and came upon the sight of Mettaton having been broken into many pieces, much to his horror, as he slowly approached to kneel next to the shattered upper torso of the robot. Alphys was calling out worriedly through the phone. What happened? Did you find Mettaton? She got him, Alphys. She took out Mettaton too, said Naruto sadly. Oh no, not Mettaton. I need to hurry. Seeing Mettaton here must mean that Frisk has reached new home. I need to go now. Naruto, wait. Sorry, I'll be doing this on my own from now on. Nah. Naruto ended the call, taking in a deep breath before exhaling as he looked at the doorway ahead and going through to reach the elevator, then using it to get him to the next area. Upon reaching the chosen floor, Naruto exited from the elevator and dashed through the pathway and arrived at the entrance to new home. The blonde was about to take another step when he stopped with a frown on his face and suddenly spoke out loud. You can come out now. I've had enough of you following me around now, ever since snowed in. Now quit with the hiding and show yourself, Floey. There was a pop before Naruto turned around to see none other than Floey, who was looking at him with a frown on his face. How did you know that I've been following you, and my name too? Asked Floey confusedly. I wasn't aware at first, but I started getting the feeling that someone had been following me from a distance and figured that it was you. As for knowing your name, that's for me to know. Floey frowned in annoyance. If you knew that I was following you, why didn't you do anything about it? I have more important things to focus on besides addressing your presence. Naruto saw that Floey was about to speak and cut him. Look, I don't have the time or patience to play 20 questions with you when I need to get to Frisk and put a stop to this. Hearing this, Floey laughed in response. Put a stop to this? You have no idea about what's going on. I know well enough that if she continues with this genocide of hers, she'll keep repeating this bloody CYCL. I can't allow that to go on, Naruto countered. You must be an idiot if you think you can stop her. No one can stop her as she's done this twice now. The moment she learns of the presence of another human, she'll kill you without a second thought, then take your soul and gain LV, which will only make her stronger. After all, it's kill or be killed. Now it was Naruto's turn to be annoyed. And what about you? Have you tried to stop her? If you can recall the past resets, surely you want to stop her from repeating the CYCL, or is it that you just let it happen for your own benefit? How would you know what a reset is? Just what kind of human are you? Sigh, I don't have to explain anything to you. If you're going to waste my time, then leave me alone. Naruto turned to enter new home when Floey popped out of the ground in front of him with an angry look on his face. Well, make time. I want to know, how does a human like you who's only fallen down here knows what a reset is, you knowing my name, and even knows how to use magic? It's not possible for a human to know magic, as that knowledge was lost through centuries since the war. So start talking. Who are you? Naruto glared back in response. I don't have to tell you anything, now move aside. Do you not understand the grave situation here? Oh, I understand what's happening just perfectly. It's you who doesn't understand the situation you find yourself in. If you tell me who you are, I might let you go. The blonde gritted his teeth in annoyance. Floey. I'm serious here, I can't afford to waste my time for explanations. Now get out of my way. It would be better if you don't know what you don't want to hear. What do you mean, it's better that I don't know what I don't want to hear? What could you possibly know that you can't tell me? Answer me. No, Naruto replied sternly. Floey growled for a moment, then he started to smile evilly. Fine, if you won't tell me, then I suppose I'll just kill you here and now. After all, it's not every day something new finally occurred to present itself to me. Once I kill you, not only would I have a soul to myself, I might be able to counter her power as well. As he said that, he sprouted 2 tentacle thorn vines from the ground as if he's ready to fight Naruto. Naruto growled as he doesn't have the time to deal with him, as he hard-pressed for time, but he doesn't want to waste his energy on fighting Floey, which leaves him with no other choice. Naruto just sighed as he said, Look Floey, if you're really that desperate in wanting answers, you then fine. I'll just have to convince you to let me pass if that'll get you to stop interfering. Floey just laughed as he said, Convince me? How do you plan on doing that? I doubt whatever you say could possibly surprise me. Naruto smirked. I don't know about that, but what I can say is I know a lot about you than you let on. Like I would believe you know anything about me. Alright, but don't say I didn't warn you. I didn't want to say it, but you left me no choice if you continue to stand in my way. Floey who rolled his eyes as he said with a sneer, Please, what would an idiot human like you could possibly know anything about me? Naruto shrugged his shoulders, then said, I know well enough that you were never a flower to begin with. You used to be someone, or more specifically, a real dreamer, son of the royal dreamer family of Toriel and Askari Dreamer. This made Floey shut up as he looked at Naruto in shock and disdain. Shock at how this human knows who he formerly was and what family he's from, disdain at him mentioning his former dead name. Why you dash. However, before he could say anything, Naruto cuts him off as he said, I'm not finished yet. Before you became Floey, you were once a real who lived a normal life with your family, who was an only child up until the first human have fallen who you found and taken care of. Afterwards your family adopted the human as your sibling, which you two became best friends. That is. Until, the plan started as the first fallen human started eating buttercup flowers which poisoned them to the point of death, which you didn't like the plan anymore. Then I assume you took their soul to absorb, which made you pass through the barrier and took the body with you. After that, something must have gone wrong, as I can only suspect the humans attacked you and died from them, which resulted you both ending up dead. Correct? Floey didn't say a word as he couldn't formally what Naruto just said. Floey didn't say a word as he couldn't formally what Naruto just said, but Naruto continued on as he said, if that wasn't enough to convince you, then I know how you became Floey. It had something to do with Alphys, doesn't it? After your death sometime, Alphys must have done some experiment to attempt to bring you back to life by using your dust on a flower. I don't know how she did it, but what I can say is after initially brought you back to life, it only brought you more pain and anguish after learning you're a soulless husk of a flower and you left without Alphys knowing. That's how you became flowy. I also know you used to have the power of reset at the time before Frisk came along, which overrides your power. So Flowy, am I right or am I right? Flowy was at a loss for words, he was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe at how Naruto was entirely right. It makes no sense at how someone like him who's only been down here not that long already knows this much about him. Just who the hell are you? How can possibly know so much about me? It's not possible for some random human to know this much information about me. Naruto simply stated, well, this human does. I hope that was enough to convince you. Now can you move? However, Flowy refused to budge about this matter. Now hold on there, you still haven't answered me how you know about what a reset is and how you know magic. Naruto was getting frustrated at this weird probing information. Unbelievable. Fine. How I know what a reset is because I have the same power as Frisk does. I too possess the soul of determination. He showed his soul to Flowy as he said that, shocking the flower, but I had never done a reset as I only used my save file once. But I hope I don't ever have to use it if I have to. He then withdrew his soul back to him. Flowy then asked, how is it that you have a soul of determination as well? And you said you've used your save file and never once reset before. How can that be? If that was true, I would have seen you from the past resets. I never seen you around here. That's because I'm not from around here. Obviously Sherlock, you're in the underground, of course you're not from around here. Naruto was getting annoyed at Flowy as he clarified himself, no you dumb weed. What I meant is I'm not from this timeline. What do you mean by that? What I mean is I was brought here against my will. A portal appeared in my timeline where Frisk and I spared everyone. While I was dealing with personal stuff, that portal sucked me in and I suddenly found myself here in your timeline. Whatever reason it brought me here must be for a purpose, which is me stopping Frisk from causing more harm. Flowy looking a bit skeptical at this, but given he knows a lot about him, what a reset is and not to mention him having a soul of determination, that was more than enough to convince him. Well, that would explain how you know this much about me and where you originated from, but what about your magic? Asked Flowy out of curiosity. Naruto just sighed at this while saying, my magic came from my grimoire which is chained on my arm. I'm able to learn its language to use spell casting. If you were spying me in Waterfall then you must have seen me using a spell as I was about to walk through the river. Which Flowy nodded as he recalled witnessing that, and as he mentioned about a grimoire, he then noticed it on the human's arm. Makes him wonder how he never noticed that. There, I've answered your questions, are you satisfied now? Flowy looked at him for a while until he spoke, yeah, I'm satisfied. You've answered all my questions, so I suppose I can let you go. Naruto looked relieved as he said, finally, now if you excuse me, I need to dash. But Flowy cuts him off, but you know, now that I learned about you, I could just kill you now and take your soul for myself. In this world it's kill or be killed. He began having his plant-like tentacles slowly reach towards Naruto, who started building up his magic to defend himself. However, Flowy retracted them as he said, but then again, I much rather don't want to be killed again like how that traitor did to me after all I did in helping them. So much for best friend, huh? Naruto then powered down his magic as he asked, you're best friends with Frisk? What? No, I'm not friends with that pacifist. I meant wait, you don't know? Naruto asked confusedly, don't know what? Flowy started laughing as he said, so you're unaware of who's actually doing the genocide? Naruto looked annoyed, what do you mean by that? It's obviously Frisk, right? Hearing this only made Flowy laugh harder in an evil tone as he said, golly, you really don't know? Well, I'm gonna let you figure it out yourself if you live long enough, that is, but I'll at least tell you this, Frisk isn't the one that's in control here. Naruto looked even more confused as he demanded, what do you mean, Frisk isn't the one that's in control here, who are you referring to? Which Flowy laughs as he said, if you want to know, I suggest heading through Judgment Hall. I advise you better hurry, Smiley Trashbag is currently fighting her. Naruto, who looked confused at him, saying, "Smiley trash bag," as he's wondering who is he calling who that. Then a thought occurred as a certain lazy skeleton who always smiles came to mind, then he realized what he meant. Sans is fighting her. Someone like him who has 1 HP shouldn't confront her. I gotta reach him in time before it's too late. He immediately sprinted off as Flowey watched him before muttering to himself. Let's see if that human has what it takes to stop Chara from this genocide run. Would he succeed or would he fall like all the rest have? Guess we'll have to wait and see. After that, he burrowed down the ground as Naruto rushes towards the judgment hall. Naruto dashed through Ascari's home and out through the passageway onto the pathways leading towards the judgment as fast as he could whilst gripping his Botken tightly. A deep part of him wondered what Flowey meant when he said that Frisk wasn't in control of herself, but shrugged it off and focused more on reaching Sans and Frisk to stop the fight before something irreversible happens. Finally arriving at the judgment hall, Naruto quickly made his way to the main area and was horrified as he came upon the scene of Frisk as she was about to strike at Sans with a knife and the skeleton was asleep during the fight. Snapping out of it, Naruto wasted no time rushing towards Frisk as he called out, "Sans, watch out." His voice alerted everyone of his presence. They all turned towards the source and were surprised to see who it was, more so Sans, who dodged the incoming attack with ease given by the fact that his hands were still in the pockets of his jacket. "Heh, did ya really think you would be able dash?" But before he could finish his sentence, Frisk slashed at Sans again a second time at speed, which took Sans completely off guard as he didn't have enough time to dodge that one. Time slowed down as he was about to get hit, which he knew he was gonna die like he has been previously. As it got nearer, he closed eyes and awaited the pain. It never happened. He slowly opened his eyes to see Naruto standing right in front of him with his Botken in hand blocking Frisk's attack, then pushed her away from them. "Phew, thank goodness that I was able to make it in time." Naruto let out a breath of relief, then glanced toward Sans. "Are you okay?" Sans was surprised at seeing Naruto here as he said, "Kid? What are you doing here?" "Saving your life if what had almost happened isn't proof enough," Naruto replied. "You shouldn't be here. I told you to stay put at my house. This is not your problem," Sans scolded. "Well, it is now. I'm not just gonna stand by and let you get yourself killed. It would haunt me in my conscience if I didn't do anything to help preventing this madness," Naruto countered. Sans looked away at this. But still, kid, you shouldn't have gotten yourself involved in our problem. You're putting yourself in great danger now. If that's the case, then so be it. Plus I need to get to the bottom of why Frisk is committing these murderous acts throughout the underground. Besides, if you die, Sans, then who's gonna help me get out of here? So, I need you alive until we resolve this issue at hand. But kid dash. Naruto cut him off in annoyance. "No more but, Sans. I'm staying here to help you, and that's final." As the two argued with each other, Frisk watched them in confusion, with her main focus being the male spiky-haired blonde with the whisker marks on his cheeks. She wasn't aware that another human had fallen here, but she wondered why she had never run into him before from her previous resets, but more importantly, how does he know her name? It might be some monsters that managed to escape must have told him, or probably Sans. Even so, how come he suddenly appeared here while back then nothing changed? Suddenly she heard a female voice speak in her mind. "Well, isn't this interesting? Looks like something new has occurred after our second genocide run. I wasn't aware that another human has fallen down here, but I wonder why we hadn't run into him before, and he seems to know you, Frisk. How curious. I suspect the comedian must have been responsible for finding him first and tried to keep him hidden from us, but it seems he did a poor job at that, like how he failed to save his previous brother Papyrus and his friends." The voice giggled darkly at the end. Frisk didn't say anything as deep down she felt guilty for killing her former friends that she had made. They were nothing but kind to her. Now that another human child has fallen down here, no doubt she would be forced to fight him too without mercy. It looks he's about to say something to you, Frisk." After hearing what the female voice had said, Frisk looked up to see Naruto as he stepped forward and spoke to her with a conflicted expression on his face. "Frisk, I never imagined I would ever see you do something so horrific as committing genocide." Frisk looked a bit surprised at him knowing her name, which Naruto took note as he said, "If you're wondering how I know your name. Well, let's just say that I know a lot more about you than you realize, but that's beside the point. Frisk doesn't know how to react to this as she would assume Sans may have told him, but that response was a bit cryptic. Anyways, she sees Naruto looking a bit conflicted expression as he asked. What I want to know is why. Just why, Frisk? Why are you murdering your friends? Why are you committing genocide? Just what is the reason for all of this senseless violence? I want to know, Frisk, Naruto inquired strongly. Frisk didn't say a word with her neutral expression was unreasonable to the point Naruto couldn't tell what she's thinking. Please Frisk, just tell me your reasons. Why are you going around killing monsters who you made friends with? Did something happen that made you go this path you're on? Are you being forced into something? Or you just enjoy playing with other people's emotions and going on a murderous rampage just because you can? Which is it? Why are you not saying anything? Aren't you regretting on what you're doing? Do you just hate them or something? Why can't you tell me? Naruto was going frustrated at this point from the silent treatment he's getting from Frisk while she was mentally trembling, wanting to tell him that she regretted her actions but she can't. Suddenly she heard the same female voice in her mind again. This guy is worried about you for someone who started this whole mess in the first place. How touching. It's too bad he'll never know the truth. I'm getting tired of hearing this random guy talk. Let's kill him while we get rid of the comedian. Frisk didn't say a word, but she knew she was left with no choice but to do what she says. Witnessing the exchange between the two children, Sans approached Naruto from behind and placed a hand on his shoulder. Forget it, kid, she's not gonna talk. Trust me, I tried it myself. The only reason she has is enjoying tormenting us as if this is some game to her. So don't bother wasting your breath. Naruto was hesitant to agree. Then he sees Frisk walking towards them slowly with her knife slightly raised with the intent to fight and kill them. Sans laughed sadly at this. Looks like the little freak still intends on continuing this fight. Naruto wasn't sure what to do at this point. Can he bring himself to fight Frisk? He doesn't want to hurt her or God forbid kill her with no other choice, despite the fact that she can reload her save file to come back to life. Naruto only looked at her only to be met with that neutral expression still on her face while seeing some dust on her clothes and even her knife, which disturbed him. After some thought, he readied up his Bakken in his stance, which Sans noticed. Kid? Sans inquired softly. Sans, can you still fight? Because if we're gonna have any chance of winning, you're gonna need my help. I have some items on me if you need some. The skeleton simply grinned in response. I could use a break right about now, but I should be fine. But are you sure you want to do this? Naruto nodded in response, gripping his Bakken tightly. Yeah, at least I hope so. I'll do what I can. With slight hesitation, Naruto used a check on Frisk to obtain info on her. Frisk. LV 19. ATK 99 Def 99. Does she feel her sins crawling on her back? The blonde was saddened to see this, the information telling him just how many monsters she had killed to get to that level of power. He couldn't help but wonder what could have steered her into this path. He snapped back into focus and prepared to subdue her. On the other hand, Frisk was also using check on Naruto to learn more about this human boy supporting Sans. Naruto. LV 1. ATK. Def 50. Trying to figure out why you're doing this. How curious. He's at LV 1 and yet is strong. Whatever, get rid of him then take care of that short bag of bones before we'll take care of things, said the voice in Frisk's head, who nodded hesitantly in affirmation. She quickly lunged at Naruto and swung her real knife at Naruto, who quickly blocked it with his Bakken. Frisk unleashed an assault of slashes with Naruto skillfully deflecting them away from him, knowing that he mustn't let himself get hit by the knife with her high ATK power backing it up. Sans raised a hand and flicked a bony finger upwards. Frisk paused for a second and disengaged to jump backwards right as a cluster of bones shot out of the ground where she once stood. Sans continued to flick his finger to repeatedly make bones shoot out of the ground to try and impale Frisk, but she proved to be rather agile, no doubt combat experience gained from her previous genocide runs. Frisk suddenly took off at blurring speeds, moving past Naruto with her knife aimed at Sans when a magic circle materialized in between. Then a large stone cube emerged to block the knife, leaving it embedded within. Frisk's soul suddenly changed from red to blue before being lifted into the air, revealing the cause to be Sans, whose hand and left eye was glowing. Sans swiped his hand to the side towards a wall where several bones shot out and impaled her through the back and out of her chest. Sans, what the hell? Naruto yelled in horror of what the skeleton had just done. Sans waved a hand to calm him down. I can understand your reaction, but don't forget that she's aiming to kill us. I'd rather you detest me than let you be killed by her. And besides, he pointed past Naruto, she always comes back. Naruto looked back to see Frisk revived and knife in hand once more. Right, she could simply reload her save file. Frisk attacked them once more, swinging her knife to actually launch red energy slashes towards them, much to Naruto's shock, before snapping back to focus as he brought a forearm forward and channeling his determination to create red energy shield in the form of a SWAT ballistic shield to block the incoming projectiles. But then Frisk appeared behind him to slash at his back, but it was blocked due to Naruto having angled the Bokken to defend his back in time before moving away from her. Naruto took on the Gale form stance, trying to calm down and focus, but the current situation wasn't making it easy for him to do so. Frisk was upon him once more, hacking and slashing in a flurry, with Naruto maintaining the defensive but would be forced to shift into the storm form just so he could keep up with her whilst reinforcing his Bokken with determination, which she was trying to destroy in an attempt to render him weaponless. Darn it! Naruto ended up trapping himself by backing up to a pillar, and Frisk was just about to drive her knife into his chest. His mind raced for a solution and quickly came up with one. VERYYYY. His back glyph glowed for a moment before his body phased through the pillar to the other side in time to avoid the deadly attack. Frisk pulled her knife in annoyance when something caught her eye, then she quickly jumped backwards right as a large blue beam of energy shot at where she once stood, the attack having come from a Gaster Blaster that Sans had conjured earlier. Sans snapped his fingers to conjure more Gaster Blasters to launch an assault of energy beams, with Frisk darting to and fro to evade the incoming energy beams. Naruto stretched out a hand with a glyph appearing around it. Grando, a large ice dagger materialized onto his hand, which he then used to stab the ground, forming a thin layer of ice over it. Frisk ended up landing on the ice and lost her balance, giving Sans the opportunity to take her out with a point-blank shot from a Gaster Blaster. Naruto looked away, not wanting to see any more, when he heard a click, then a gunshot, before Naruto let out a cry of pain as something had struck the back of his shoulder. Gripping it tightly and fighting the urge to scream in pain, he looked behind to see Frisk now holding the empty gun and realized that she must have empowered it with her determination. Sans quickly went to check the blonde human boy with no small amount of worry. Hey kid, you doing okay? I'll be fine, Sans, just need some time to recover from this. While ignoring the pain the best he could, Naruto concentrated on the back glyph, Reflectio. The glyph glowed green as a low hissing sound could be heard, with steam emitting from the wound, which was gradually becoming smaller. In that case, Sans snapped his fingers to make a circular wall of bones to shoot out from the ground and enclose Naruto within it. Take 5 while I have a bone to pick with Frisk. I won't be long, Naruto protested. No rush. Sans pointed a finger at Frisk as blue bones appeared above his head before launching themselves like arrows towards Frisk, who began dodging the bones and returned fire with her empty gun, but ensured that she doesn't get blindsided by the Gaster Blasters that Sans would sneak in during his assault to get her should she leave an opening. Naruto watched the ongoing fight through the gaps of the bone wall with a heavy heart. Seeing how Frisk was able to keep up with Sans shows just how attuned she has become at fighting, and that's not the only thing he was worried about. Fighting Frisk and killing her doesn't do us any good, as she would simply use the load to revive every time and learns from the previous fights. More so that she starts fresh while we gradually become fatigued. Naruto felt the spell end with his wound being completely healed, but I'm not coming up with any actual ideas here either. After picking up his Bokken, Naruto jumped over the bone wall, then unleashed a sharp burst of speed the moment he touched the ground to intercept Frisk by grabbing the hand holding and pointed it away, then used the Bokken to block a knife stab. Please Frisk-chan, you still have a chance to make things right. You just need to stop fighting us, Naruto appealed to Frisk once more. The girl struggled in response, lashing out with a kick to the stomach which made Naruto stumble backwards in pain, and she was about to attack him. Then she was frozen in motion by Sans intervention, sprouting a large bone to lift her towards the ceiling and smashing her into it before falling back to the ground. Surely, there's a part of you that regrets what you had done, Naruto pleaded. Frisk weakly reached for the knife close by, only for multiple bones to pierce through her back, killing her and fading away. I'd suggest that you back away from this fight if you're going to keep risking your life trying to appeal to her, said Sans sternly. I can't stop now, I need to stop her before something irreversible happens, said Naruto sternly. Sans looked to see Frisk appear once more with knife in hand as if nothing had happened. We'll just have to see about that, won't we? Naruto let out a sigh and stood at the ready. Yeah. Frisk was currently floating in a void of darkness before a giant screen which said game over. This is where she would appear whenever she was killed, which is becoming rather frequent due to Sans killing her and the human boy providing support to do so. The past 2 genocide runs were admittedly difficult, but this time, those 2 are downright making it impossible to achieve the 3rd run due to how they were able to coordinate so efficiently to take her down, and it was rather frustrating as every time she thought she had them figured out, they would suddenly do something unexpected. She turned towards the continue and reset buttons and was about to press the former when her hand suddenly stopped midway. The reason why? Why are you not saying anything? Aren't you regretting on what you're doing? Do you just hate them or something? Why can't you tell me? Please Frisk-chan, you still have a chance to make things right. You just need to stop fighting us. Surely, there's a part of you that regrets what you had done. Naruto's voice echoed loudly in her mind, trying to tell her that she still has that slim chance of redeeming herself in spite of what she had done. She started shedding tears upon reminiscing the happy memories she had with the monsters that she made friends with before She caused all this. Maybe he's right, I could do things the right way this time. A second chance. Frisk gazed at the reset with longing which grew stronger as Naruto's words continued to echo in her mind. Then her hand slowly approached it, a sorry smile on her face as she was about to end this nightmare. Suddenly a black tendril wrapped around Frisk's wrist right as she was about to press the button to stop her from doing so. Frisk around to see an ominous figure of a girl who looks just like her except for her glowing red eyes and rosy cheeks, while some sort of black substance dripping from her eyes and mouth. Just what do you think you're doing, Frisk? You're not trying to do a reset after coming this far, are you? Asked the girl darkly. Frisk looked frightened at the sight of her but then gathered her courage to respond, yes, I was going to reset. We know I can't do this anymore, this isn't what I want. I want to be with everyone again and not kill any more. The unknown girl tilted her head in slight confusion. What is that supposed to mean? Last I checked, you were the one who started all this. All I did was pick up where you left off. You were the one who manipulated me. Frisk yelled at the girl, the one who tricked me into taking this path. The girl scoffed in response, oh please, it was your own curiosity that led to you to doing this, which makes you just as guilty. Even if it's true that I manipulated and tricked you, you didn't have to listen and yet you did. The moment you took that decision, you started regretting your actions, which had me stepping in to make take of the rest in the 2 previous genocide runs. Am I wrong? Frisk looked away, her head bowed in shame due to the inability to refute the girl's facts. It was true that she was curious about what would happen if she were to choose the alternative of killing the monsters. The deaths of Toriel and Papyrus shook her very core, as well as the disdain the normally friendly Sans had towards her was also another thing that shocked her as well. So you have room to complain whatsoever. Now I'd suggest you SCK it up and continue the game since we're not done yet with the comedian and that annoying human partner of his, said the girl nonchalantly. Frisk's head was still bowed, then a word left her lips, no. What was that? I said no. I'm not your partner and I'm going to continue this any longer and having you erase this world again. I shouldn't have gone through this in the first place. If Asriel were alive and saw you now, he would have been disappointed in you for how you turned out to be. Frisk glared at the girl with defiance before turning towards the reset button, so forget it, I'm done. No more genocide. The girl couldn't believe what Frisk had just said, the feelings of confusion followed by anger then rage erupted from within her, that timid girl had the nerve to bring up that traitorous goat into this. No. How curious. You must have misunderstood something here. Since when were you the one in control? At her words, the girl let out a demonic roar before rushing towards Frisk and grabbing her by the neck. Frisk became terrified at the sight of the girl's face becoming deformed with more of that black substance seeping out of her. She tried to get away but more of the black tendrils wrapped around her body and crawling up to her face. Somebody help. But nobody came. Naruto and Sans stood waiting for Frisk to show up again whilst having a moment's rest when they felt a shift and looked towards the end of the judgment hall to see someone emerge from the shadows, but it's not Frisk, especially with the clothes she's wearing and way she's smiling which made them feel unnerved. Who is she? Asked Naruto nervously. Sans frowned in response, I don't know but all I can say for sure is that this is not Frisk. Naruto wasn't exactly thrilled to hear that. He looked back at the girl and couldn't help find her strangely familiar for some strange reason. The girl waved at them daintily with that demented smile of hers, hello there, my name is Chara. Upon hearing her name, Naruto began remembering certain things relating to that name. She was the human girl who had fallen into the underground and was adopted by Israel and his family. There was also the collection of the VHS tapes that he and Frisk watched when they were exploring the true lab in their dimension. It would appear that Sans was also familiar with the name. Wait, Chara? As in the very first human that fell here? Asked Sans in disbelief. Chara's smile grew even wider, yes comedian, that's me. I must say, you've been proven to be quite difficult to get rid of with that annoying human of yours. Speaking of which, she turned to Naruto, you're a constant annoyance who keeps getting in the way of killing Sans but I will admit that it's impressive for a human to know magic. But I am pretty curious as to how you didn't appear until now. However, Naruto wasn't listening to Chara as he was recalling something that Floey had told him before he left. Golly, you really don't know. Well, I'm gonna let you figure it out yourself if you live long enough, that is, but I'll at least tell you this, Frisk isn't the one that's in control here. With those words echoing in his mind, the pieces came together and he finally got a clear picture of what's going on. It all makes sense now, said Naruto seriously. Chara and Sans turned to him with the latter inquiring on his statement. What do you mean by that, kiddo? Asked Sans confusedly. I finally understand why this situation was so strange when Frisk started these genocide runs. It wasn't her to begin with but rather Chara, which could explain why Floey told me that Frisk was never in control because Chara was the one making all of this happen. With his explanation done, Sans was surprised to hear all this while Chara was indifferent about all this and made it known to them. Well, look at you, you figured it out, the truth, and it would seem that little traitor told you about it, huh? That weed is gonna regret he even existed. But you are right, I am the one who's in control. Naruto glared at her, then where's Frisk? What did you do to her? Chara simply smiled, I didn't do anything to her, but let's just say she won't be coming out for a while as she's unavailable for the time being. Sans frowned in thought, so Frisk wasn't the one who did this? She was innocent and he started to connect the dots and realize what is happening. Well, yes and no. Frisk was indeed started this out of curiosity. I just gave her a little push into this route, she began, finishing what she couldn't do after fighting you, Sans. She felt bad for killing her friends and even your brother that she wanted to reset. However, it doesn't change anything as she committed those acts on her self-interest. If she can't finish the job, I will. Besides, this world doesn't have any meaning anymore like in the previous runs I erased. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger as her uncaring statement, who are you to judge this world? It's not your plaything to toy around in. You think you're above consequence or something? Chara looked at him with an evil smile as she said, me? Well, yes. I have enough LV and determination to see this through. Obviously, Frisk doesn't, but she's not the one calling the shots anymore. I'm taking charge and I'll continue doing genocide runs as I'm a god who owns this world however I please, as I'll keep erasing timelines. Naruto was gripping his fists while Sans, who was standing there with his eyes closed as he spoke, had god, huh? That's a good one. You think you see yourself some god who has the power to change the world with just a press of a button. Sorry bucko, but I'm not just gonna stand by and let this go on. You're no god, you're just a megalomaniac. And because of that you're gonna have a bad time. As he said that, his left eye was glowing while Naruto's eye was the same due to both of them being angry at Chara. I'm gonna have a bad time you say? Hee, well let's just see about that. Don't forget that if you're hurting me, you're hurting Frisk as well. Don't you care that killing me is gonna affect Frisk, said Chara with a sneer. Sans just said, I may not forgive Frisk for what she did but I'll give her a chance when she's free and reset this world if she truly regrets. So don't think you can discourage me into thinking that. Chara frowned at this but nonetheless she said, well that's a shame but oh well, it was worth a try. Naruto who decided to speak up, Chara, you're not gonna win this, it's 2 against 1. Just save yourself the hassle and give Frisk back control. No, Frisk has no right to be in control anymore. And it hardly matters to me if it's 2 against 1. I'll still kill one of you two eventually, it's only a matter of when. But who will fall first, the comedian or the human? Let's find out shall we? After all, this will only end with me killing you two and soon erasing this world like I have been from my previous genocide runs, said Chara while she readies up her real knife and her hidden locket hangs on her neck. Sans then said, the only ending here is your judgment. As he said that, he summoned a great deal of gaster blasters while his eye glowing intensely which is the same for Naruto as his magic was building up with his Bakken glowing. Sans pointed towards Chara and willing the gaster blasters to attack which they did with a volley of energy beams. Chara merely smiled at the incoming projectiles before suddenly disappearing in a blur and avoiding the attacks with afterimages depicting her movements as she rapidly approached till she was right in front of them but darted away to avoid a literal rainstorm of bones coming down from above her. Naruto caught sight of movement and quickly reacted by stretching out an arm with a glyph materializing in front of it, scutum. Hearing a metallic clang from behind, Sans looked back to see a heater shield having emerged from a glyph in time to block a slash from Chara's knife. TCH, Chara made to retreat for another attack but soon noticed that she wasn't able to move, revealing that Sans had captured given that her normally red soul is blue. Sans proceeded to fling her about all over the place, repeatedly slamming against the pillars like a pinball, dragging across the walls and floor. He finally held her up in midair with multiple bones conjured all around before commanding them to attack. Right as they were about to land something happened which alarmed Sans before there was an explosion. Naruto took note of Sans' expression and called out to him, Sans, what's the matter? Her soul I can't move it, said Sans with a frown. He quickly created a pair of bones into his hands and crossed them in time to block an attack from Chara who continued to smile, the impact knocking him away several feet. Naruto's eyes widened before raising his Bakken to block a slash from Chara and struggled to hold her back. She's strong, far more than when we were fighting Frisk. He heard a metallic click and immediately moved away to avoid a gunshot. Aw, I was just trying to give you another hole to breathe through besides your nose and mouth, said Chara with a fake pout whilst holding up a gun to blow the smoke from the muzzle. She suddenly aimed to the side without looking and shot several incoming bones launched her way by Sans who gritted his teeth with growing frustration. It's like she knew what he was going to do, no doubt she learnt from the previous genocide runs, thought Naruto, I'll just have to mix things up a bit. What's the matter, aren't you going to attack me? Or could it be that you don't hit girls? Chara taunted. None of your business, are you gonna talk or are you gonna fight? Naruto retorted. Oh, I'm going to do more than that. Chara swiped her knife several times to launch red shockwaves with Naruto utilizing the gale form to deflect them away from himself then sensed her approaching him before slamming a palm on the floor. Volgrando, a glowing glyph appeared before large pillars of ice burst from the ground in front of him to obstruct his opponent but she simply sliced through them and continued to attack but he leapt into the air, Cubus. He constantly conjured stone blocks and jumped off them like stepping blocks. Chara was quick to follow after him and prepared to attack once more. Numa, he performed a 360 spin to unleash a blast of wind to blow her away before landing back on the ground to see Chara standing there with an expression of interest. I think I see what's going here about you, said Chara. Naruto quirked an eyebrow in response, what are you talking about? The reason why you never seem to make the first move, to always react. It's not that you're a silly pacifist like Frisk at first, but you can't seem to bring yourself to attack anyone no matter. You deny the true purpose of the very thing you hold. Why else your ATK power is unknown. There's none to begin with, not even a 0. Exclamation point. Naruto flinched upon hearing her statement, gripping his Bakken tightly. That's where you're wrong, my Bakken's true purpose is to protect myself as well as those close to me. That's different compared to you who enjoys hurting others just for the fun of it. Chara laughed in amusement. Just who are you trying to convince here, me or really yourself? She tossed her knife up and down a few times before taking aim with her gun. Guess I'll just have to force you to see the truth then. Naruto crouched slightly and dashed towards Chara, rapidly deflecting the energy bullets fired by her, and took note that she was building up energy for a powerful shot which she fired. Naruto enhanced his Bakken with determination and swung it to collide with the blast, struggling to deflect it and managed to send it flying through one of the windows, but at that very moment, Chara appeared behind Naruto and slashed at him, but the blonde barely dodged it as he leapt away from her. Naruto was retaking his stance when he felt something wet on his cheek. He took his free hand to touch what was on his cheek, then suddenly froze as he began to realize it was his BLD. He started to breathe heavily and his body began shaking. Chara took note of his strange behavior and soon realized what was going on while she just looks at Naruto with an unbelievable expression. Are you serious? Are you seriously afraid of BLD? That's just truly pitiful. Not only are you a cowardly pacifist, but you're a hypocrite for fearing a little bit of BLD. What? You can't handle a simple cut? You really are a sorry excuse for a human being. Well, if a cut is all that it takes to make you feel uncomfortable, then you're not gonna like what I'm gonna do to you next, and it'll be a lot worse than just a cut. She suddenly disappeared in a blur before Naruto could so much as react, but was too late. Gah! Naruto fell to his knees with a cry of pain due to Chara having severed his leg tendons. Not even close to being done, Chara drove her knife into one of Naruto's hand, pinning it to the ground. Chara relished the sound of him screaming in pain. This is your true role, to be on your knees before whoops. She quickly yanked the knife away and dashed backwards as several bones struck where she was. Then Sans swiftly went to check on Naruto. I ain't gonna ask if you're okay when it's obvious that you aren't, said Sans, looking at Naruto's wounds with a frown. Guess it will take a little longer to heal this time, Naruto muttered in pain, attempting to cast a glyph but having difficulty doing so. No kid, you've done enough. I'll take it from here and put an end to this once and for all, said Sans before turning to face Chara. Said person merely giggled in response. I've heard that line lots of times and it changed nothing. Only thing different is that I'll let you live long enough to watch as I kill this human right in front of you, like how you let me kill your stupid brother while you just stood there and watched without lifting a bony finger to do a thing. Sans glared at Chara for that. Don't you dare disrespect Papyrus, you dirty brother killer. But it's the truth, isn't it? Had you done something other than just doing nothing but being lazy, you could have prevented me killing your brother and maybe others. Not like you could, but you could have tried at least. You must hate your own brother, don't you? What? No. I would never hate my own brother. Sans was taken aback by such an accusation. If that's the case, then why didn't you do anything to stop me? What would Papyrus seize you now if he were to learn that you let me kill him as you stood by and let this happen? You're such a terrible brother for letting him die. Sans gritted his teeth. He wanted to deny it so badly, and yet there was a grain of truth in her statement. Why didn't he tell Papyrus to stay away? Why didn't he step in when his brother was in danger? Did he truly care about Papyrus at all? Don't listen trying to mess with your head, Naruto spoke up, fighting through the pain. Sans looked back at Naruto, who was still trying to get back to his despite his trauma preventing him from doing so, with the tattered Bakken laying nearby, before turning to face Chara with a serious look on his face. You've done enough, kiddo, I'll handle this. Sans conjured a pair of long femur bones into his hands as Eskrima sticks and a trio of Gaster blasters hovered above his head, stepping forward to fight her once more. Naruto laid there and watched as Sans fought Chara with ferocity, refusing to let up with the clear objective of killing her no matter. But the blonde could clearly see that she always found a way to scurry away from his attacks with that darn smile of hers, feeling him with a sense of foreboding like she's still playing around with him. Naruto struggled to rise to his feet or at least cast the spell to heal himself, but he just can't seem to muster the needed energy, even evident that the aura in his left eye had faded away. He glanced at the chipped bokken nearby and tried to reach for it, but his stabbed hand couldn't do anything more than twitch. I have to get back to my feet and help Sans, at this rate he'll be dash. Naruto was disrupted from his thoughts upon heard a slash sound towards Sans. 999999999. Sans was hit as he was bleeding from his chest, while Chara managed to catch him off guard as her arm was stretched out holding her real knife with some BLD on it as she smiled at finally getting rid of that comedian. Naruto, who watched in horror as he screamed out, "Sans!" Sans was coughing out bits of BLD from his smiling teeth. "So, that's that, huh? After all that, I still lost." Chara sneered at the downed skeleton. "Like anything you did would have changed the end result. At least you won't have to worry about being separated from your brother since I'm about to send you to him." She then glanced at Naruto, who was still struggling to reach for his bokken. "Try not to bleed out, you're next after this." Chara proceeded to take slow steps towards Sans deliberately with the blood-stained knife held to the side. Naruto tried anything to try and stop what was about to happen. He bowed his head, feeling despair gradually take a hold of him, with memories beginning to flash before his eyes as Frisk, Asriel, Sans and Papyrus and many others with his mother Kushina appearing last, whom he wouldn't have the chance to say goodbye and never see them again. "I'm sorry everyone, I guess I'm truly a pathetic coward after all." So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 6. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.